Nate Bigelow with my co-host here, Mike Bales. How are we doing tonight, Mike?
It's a little chilly in this room, but it's nice and warm in Arizona.
Yeah, it's been quite hot here in Texas. We're finally getting that, Houston humidity that we're always loving used to. But
You can keep it.
it's one of those things, man. Honestly, I'd rather have this though than dealing with that desert heat that you got out there. It's like having a constant hair dryer just right on your face the entire day.
Yeah, you learned it can get pretty cold here too.
And that is true. That is true. But man, it has been a wild, week and a half, 2 weeks, really, right? I mean, This is our new episode, or our new time slot, I should say, for the Legislative Lounge. So we just give a shout out to that. We will be here on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time every week going forward, barring our death or illness, of course. But we'll be here. And Mike, I know we've got a lot of going on right now, especially in the state of California, which seems to be like an annual thing. Like everybody's trying to make a big to-do about the riots that are going on over there in Los Angeles. But in all reality, if you ever pay attention to anything in these big blue cities, especially in Los Angeles, there's always somebody trying to blow something up or steal something, loot, and destroy a bunch of stuff that's going on. I mean, it just seems like it's an annual thing. What are your thoughts?
I think that those that try to claim that these individuals that are conducting these activities are protected by the First Amendment really have never read the Constitution, and it's quite despicable what they're doing.
Right, and I know there's a lot of people that are going at it about whether or not Donald Trump is violating any kind of U.S. law and all this other stuff, which we'll get into, of course, because, that's what we do here in the Legislative Lounge. But it's just funny to see all of this going on there because, in all reality, you see these people, there's images and videos of individuals that are out here talking about how, especially if they're yelling at the military men and women that are out there now, the National Guard, and now even 700 Marines, apparently, and they're spewing at them like, you took an oath. You took an oath. Well, what's funny about that is the fact that, they don't read the whole thing because they say, you took an oath to defend the Constitution. Mike, you were in the military. What comes right after that?
I will obey the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me.
Oh. But then just right before that, too, it also gives a couple other things that they're supposed to be defending against. That is what?
Foreign and domestic terrorists.
Oh, wait a second. Is carpet bombing a bunch of police vehicles and shattering business windows, looting and destroying public property while throwing and trying to actually hurt federal agents? To me, that sounds like a domestic terrorist.
those actions would be classified as domestic terrorism activities. And what people don't understand about the First Amendment is you have the right to peaceably assemble and to redress your grievances with the governmental structures, right?
Right.
But the peaceful assembly must be orderly and peaceful. That's why it's peaceably assembled. It's not your right to destroy property. It's not your right to obstruct roadways. It's not your right to injure law enforcement. It's not your right to invoke chaos and mayhem. Those are indicators of domestic terrorism, and all of those individuals should be imprisoned.
Absolutely. And like for me, it's like when it comes to the left or Democrats or liberals, whatever suits them, they like, even though they're all the same thing, even though they like to claim that they're not. I mean, it's all the same thing. They're the same party. But it seems like when they read things, they like to specifically read over particular words. Like they like to spout off, it's our right to protest. You mean peaceably assemble, right?
Well, what's interesting is there's this conflation between peaceably assembling and then protesting. The idea behind peaceably assembling is the gathering of the community to specifically address the governing bodies.
Right.
And what's interesting is I wanted to bring this to your attention about Donald Trump and his visit to Fort Bragg.
Yeah, I know that happened today. Tell us about it.
So what I found most interesting is one of the highlights, and I'm waiting for the leftist media and the social media influencers to get on this because it's quite interesting. Donald Trump, he's looking into imprisoning those who burn the U.S. flag for up to 1 year.
Now,
as much as I support this, obviously there's an issue.
right. I mean,
Texas v. Johnson.
right. I was just about to mention that. I knew you knew it, and I knew it. We were going to tell the audience that. But even though we don't agree with it 100%, honestly, I'd probably do something if I was physically there and somebody was doing that. However,
so with Texas v. Johnson, for those that don't know, this was a 5-4 decision, and it basically labeled burning the United States flag is a protected protection of free speech. And if Donald Trump has anything, he's got a record for reversing SCOTUS decisions in the summer.
oh,
If you look back to June 2022, we had the reversal of Roe v. Wade.
true.
And for me, Texas v. Johnson was a 5-4 decision. Very, very close. I think that they should reverse it. I don't think that you should be allowed to burn the nation's flag. I don't think an action like that should be conflated with speech. So, but that's my opinion.
Right, and to put this in perspective for everybody listening, like, we don't agree with it. However, it is there. But to compare this to something like the Taliban or Al Qaeda or ISIS, they do the same thing. They literally take the American flag and they burn it. But Nathan, you're comparing American citizens to terrorists? Dang straight. Absolutely I am. Because those are actions of terrorists. They're just domestic. So we have a fancy new word for them. Domestic terrorists.
100%. And what's interesting is you have all of these people burning the American flag but waving foreign flags. Like you have several people waving the Mexico flag.
Right.
Even though they've never been to Mexico.
And that's the funny part about all of this, right? The people that are out there protesting and doing all this nonsense and saying that they're protesting, right? When in all reality they're rioting. But most of them have never been to Mexico, right? And if they have, they've been to Cancun at the resort or something like that. They've never actually lived in it. So it's just funny to see individuals, and even if you are, right, a Mexican-born individual that came here maybe illegally, right, you're flying a flag of a country you left on purpose for a specific reason. And what's even funnier about it is words that I can't say on the radio, but it's the fact that that is not a good country. Y'all can put that into context of what I mean by that. But even the president of Mexico came out just 2 days ago and basically reiterated that same statement, saying, oh, there's Mexicans that are living in America. They moved there peacefully to get a better life. So it's like...
Why aren't they... What's wrong with the life that you can offer, Madam President?
Like, I mean, why can't you make a better life for them in Mexico? Like, why is it the fact that you are the leader of this country that you love so much, and apparently these people also love them so much that they're willing to wave the flag in front of Americans, that you can't make it better there? Like, don't give me the
100%.
Like, don't give me the crap about our cartel and all that. We got a cartel here, and we have many other gangs than just the cartel here. So the fact that you're using that as a crutch, no, it's because, first of all, in my opinion, I think that the president's in cahoots with the cartel down there in Mexico. You know, it is what it is. But how are you going to sit here and say, oh, I want the American dream. I want to live be rich off the land of America and all this other stuff while flying a Mexican flag that you fled from because it's so terrible there?
100%. And, there's a lot of flags that are being flown. You have, the Mexican flag. You have, obviously, Palestinian flag, which a fair amount of these individuals have delved into a lifestyle where a lot of these Islamic faith individuals would not accept them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just interesting. I'm trying to keep it radio kosher.
But, I mean, yeah, because it is a very upsetting situation because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, when it comes to the flags, we saw the Venezuelan flag, the Honduras flag, a bunch of different ones that were out there flying, and it's like, where's the American flag? You got to go up to, I think it was Palm Beach, where they were doing a huge American flag parade as like a counter protest. And it's like, if you want an example of an actual protest, that's what it was. It was, the Trump supporters.
If you look at that, there's, at every Trump protest, right? Every positive Trump protest, you see dancing. You see order. You see peace, right? And then you see stuff like what happened in L.A., the riots in L.A., the riots in, the Summer of Love, Minneapolis.
Yep.
You just see destruction. Chicago, destruction. New York, destruction. Officers being injured. Officers having their lives taken from them.
It's crazy to think that with all of that in mind, you have individuals like Gavin Newsom, Maxine Waters, even Kamala Harris and the mayor of LA were coming out and saying, Karen Bass, coming out saying that, it's mostly peaceful, with that rhetoric of the Summer of Love, mostly peaceful. When it's almost as if these individuals are so oblivious to reality that they don't understand that everything is recorded and put on the internet. Like, we see live time what's going on because of platforms like Instagram and TikTok. Like, people are streaming what you guys are doing over there. And what's even crazier is the fact that it took 2 days, a full 2 days before Gavin Newsom or Miss Bass or anybody in the leadership over in California declared any kind of emergency or anything about the situation while businesses were being destroyed, public property was being destroyed, police cars, and even police were being attacked. And yet they did nothing but sit on their hands. And now Donald Trump wants to come in and do something as the president, right, which is fully within his rights, which we'll get to because a lot of people are believing that it's not, and that he's violating some kind of penal code.
Well, what's interesting about that, you mentioned Karen Bass. She threatened the federal government today.
Oh, wow.
She said if Donald Trump does not remove the military, the violence will get worse, which contradicts her earlier statement of these being mostly peaceful, I thought.
Right.
So you can't have it both ways. It's either violent riots or it's peaceful protests. Which is it, Miss Bass? And, for me, I think that her and Gavin Newsom should be removed from office. Maxine Waters, too. Maxine Waters is a joke. Like, she's an old dinosaur that just needs to retire.
It was amazing. This is kind of a side note, but during that whole debacle, I know we talked about it earlier, but it's just so funny, I have to mention it, is that she tried to flex her congressional powers, as she stated verbatim out of her mouth, to try and see some kind of detained immigrant in the ICE facility in Los Angeles. And the ICE agent, whoever he is, find him because he needs a raise, went out there and was like, yeah, you got to go through the proper channels and blah, 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 and shut the door right in her face as she's grabbing the door. Oh, it was funny to see her face. She was like, just stunned.
Beautiful.
But yeah, when it comes to Gavin Newsom, he's been really pushing the button of, I think he's trying to make a play for the president, right? He saw how good it was for Donald Trump to get arrested, right? The whole situation when he was arrested in Georgia and had got that mug shot, that skyrocketed him in the polls, right? I think he's doing the same thing because he's literally out here taunting Tom Homan, right? The director of ICE, the border czar, basically, and saying, come arrest me, tough guy. Like, he had some pretty stark words for him. And I'm like,
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because the governor is the head of the executive branch as far as the state goes,
Right?
And for him to allow this to continue on is a derelict of duty, which is where the head of the executive branch of the federal government can step in, like Donald Trump did with the National Guard, which we're going to get into. But what's funny about that is Gavin Newsom tried to claim that Donald Trump never called him as far as offering National Guard.
Uh-oh.
And then, Donald Trump, like Donald Trump does, drops a screenshot of his call.
Oh, the receipt king. You gotta love it. You gotta love them pesky receipts because...
I was like, not a 14-minute call.
Oh, he actually spoke to him? Oh, wow, I missed that. I thought it was just a phone call I needed an answer, so that makes it even worse. So he's out here blatantly lying to people, and yet nobody's calling him out about it. That's what's wild to me. I'm like,
That's why he's called New Scum.
The liberals are out here like, oh my God, Newsom is the best. He's going to be the next president, all this other stuff. You can see it all over social media. I mean, this guy is blatantly out lying out here now.
Listen, I moved out of California because I got tired of my tax dollars going to his hair gel.
Right? But what's even funnier, going around social media, is the fact that they're trying to say that Donald Trump's violating some laws that, and even Gavin Newsom tried to kind of infer that without actually saying it, because he knows if he says it, Donald Trump would absolutely just destroy him, because he's just feeding those that believe that Donald Trump is doing something illegal. And I've had people, me and you, even in our live podcast yesterday, had somebody drop 32 U.S. code 328, right? 32 USC 328, which is basically just the governor's authority when it comes to invoking or calling upon the National Guard. I was like, this has nothing to do with the president. This is just granting the governor the authority to use it when times are in need. But what people don't know about is 10 U.S. Code 12406, which talks about the National Guard in federal services, meaning that the president, in particular instances, can invoke or mobilize if there's three different areas, but the one that stands out the most would have to be subsection 2. If there's a rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. But Nathan,
which has to do with protecting federal things, maintaining order,
federal agents, right? For me, it's like, Nathan, there is no rebellion. I have video that I showed on our podcast last night of them literally saying, it's right to rebel. And then they chanted something that I can't say on here about ICE agents. So it's like, they're literally out here doing exactly what they tell. Plus, what is the mantra of the left, right? It's go against Trump and his regime by any means necessary. Which
100%.
Absolutely falls under this in regards to the authority of the government, which is ICE agents, Tom Homan, and the immigrations in general.
These leftists and liberals, they always, for years, they always like to bring up January 6th. Well, now that you don't have a leg to stand on.
I mean, they didn't prior because of the Summer of Love and all that other stuff. I mean, the fact that they had actually taken over the Capitol 3 times in the last, 5 years prior to January 6th. Nobody talks about that, though. Right?
No, they took over the Capitol
just last year.
Yeah.
The Palestinian protester liberals. But yet nobody talks about that, right? Oh, that's taboo. No, that's within our rights. We're free to do that.
But it's okay. People are being held accountable now.
Right? The whole mandate in regards to the no masks by Donald Trump is kind of funny as well when you think about it, because it's like, I mean, obviously, I sit here and I say, obviously he can't do that. Like, nobody can really enforce that, right? But it is funny that it's like these people are losing their absolute mind over anything and everything that he says, which is just hilarious.
Yeah, but like when I said people are being held accountable for their lawlessness as it pertains to ICE agents and Homeland Security and whatnot. I was just telling you about that grand jury.
Mm-hmm.
Returned a 3-count indictment towards Democrat Representative LaMonica McKelver.
Right. And if you guys don't remember that, this representative was the individual just a couple weeks ago that was pushing and throwing and thrashing around at an ICE agency. And what state was it, Mike? Was it New Jersey?
Newark.
New York, New Jersey. Yep.
So she's facing 17 years in prison. I actually have the indictment pulled up right now. Count 1, assaulting, resisting, and impeding certain officers or employees.
Ooh.
Count 2, assaulting, resisting, and impeding certain officers or employees. And let's see, there's a third one. I gotta find it. But she's looking at 17 years in prison.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about
So, and this is happening in New Jersey of all places, which New Jersey's not red. I don't know if anybody knows that.
It will be soon. Thank you, Scott Pressler.
Last month, a judge did order McKelver to surrender her firearms and said she cannot travel outside the U.S. And the grand jury seated in Newark was like, "Yep, it's good to go. You're indicted."
And what I don't get is like these people don't understand. They're like, "Oh, Donald Trump is breaking the law. He's breaking the Constitution," and yet they're literally out here giving out information about these investigations by ICE, not realizing that 10 USC 1510, I believe is what it is, or no, it's 18 USC 1510, is a federal offense to impede a federal investigation, which there's a lot of miscommunication, or not miscommunication, there's just downright misinformation about what ICE was actually doing in Los Angeles. And people don't understand, they were out there serving criminal warrants for criminals, right? We had rapists, murderers, drug smugglers, all this other stuff. That's what they were looking for in Los Angeles. Those are the people that you're protecting right now, not the lawful or the law-abiding. I don't even like to say that because they already done broke the law for being here illegal, but you get what I'm saying. The lawful illegal immigrants that are following, being good people. They're not criminals, essentially. Those are not the ones you're protecting because they weren't even looking for them. And that's what people don't understand.
Yep. I'll be making a video on later, but I actually had the video of that Democrat assaulting police or ICE officers. And what's bad is she said, "I will touch whoever I want," and then she curses. And on Twitter, or on X, she doubles down. She said, "This indictment is no more justified than the original charges. I will not be intimidated."
She'll be intimidated when she behind bars, possibly.
Like, the Democrats are just in shambles. America does not trust the Democrats. We've seen the polling data. As much as I don't like polls, it's funny to look at it because Democrats love polls, but they don't like their own polls when it's used against them. It's
especially
like
Chuck Schumer.
21% of Americans...
no, it's 17 now.
Oh, 17, excuse me. It dropped even worse. You know what's bad when majority of American people trust the president more than they do the Congress.
Especially those in their own party.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, to kind of like wrap up this whole immigration thing, one thing I want people to realize is that when it comes to impeding these investigations, in no way is it okay to give precise locations or to give any kind of information on the agents themselves that is illegal, right? There's an individual that's dealing with it right now because he was actually doxing the actual agents and their families, telling them where they lived, who they were, all the information about them. And now he's a 17, 18-year-old that's facing federal charges, right? So people, I've seen it on TikTok and even Instagram today, and I made a video about it because I saw an individual that had a list of targets, I guess you could call it, about where ICE raids were possibly going to be held. That is illegal. I don't know if you know this or not, people, but there is such a thing called the Intelligence Identities Protection Act of 1982. That also includes ICE agents, right? But in that, it talks about giving, and you can specifically say this, providing private or identifying information such as federal agents' specific location with intent to threaten, intimidate, harass, and commit violence, which they literally say to do, except for the last one. We'll just say, to harass the agents and to get in front of them and make sure that they're known, get in their face and all this other stuff. But we also see through LA that they're committing actual violence against the agents. So
100%.
Just know that if you're out there trying to help illegal immigrants, first of all, you're violating a bunch of U.S. penal codes. And we could go through them, U.S., 8 U.S.C. 1325, 24, 25, all that, right? But the fact that you're now getting into federal crimes when you're trying to actually give specific locations of where these ICE agents are.
Yep. And as you said, you could be charged with aiding and abetting illegal aliens and be charged with 8 U.S.C. 1324, like AOC should have been charged with.
Which I don't think that they've actually fell off of yet.
Well, I hope it happens because there's another worthless congresswoman.
Right.
How are you going to vote for somebody that wants to gather samples and study the sun at night when it's not as hot?
I don't even get me started on AOC. The fact that she's even in Congress to begin with is because she went through a program that was hidden in USAID, which a lot of people may even know about nowadays. I can't remember the exact name, but it's a program to mentor specific individuals into being in Congress or some kind of governmental job. That's where she came from. So the fact that she went from being a bartender to being a congressional representative, it's just baffling to me. Like, don't get me wrong. I think
is that program still alive? You think you and
no, absolutely not. USAID is dead.
Oh, you and I should have got on that.
No, they are only running it for the Democrats. The Republicans, I don't know what they're doing because honestly,
that's okay. I'll pull a Tulsi Gabbard. I'll go in as a Democrat and switch.
There you go. But something else pretty interesting happened over this last week. Right before the whole debacle in L.A., which we have to talk about for at least a few minutes, right? Everybody wants to know our thoughts on what happened between the bromance.
The bromance.
The bromance ended. Now, me and Mike initially took differing opinions on the whole situation between Elon and Trump and what actually happened. Mike, go ahead and give your side of it first, of what you think was going on.
I honestly don't care. I made a video about it, and I clarified in the beginning. I honestly don't care. If it was true, which I don't think it's true, I think it's all just, for the cameras. Again, but if it's true and Elon feels this way because Donald Trump cut his EV mandate and, is revoking his government contracts and he's throwing a tantrum and he wants to make X posts about Donald Trump being a part of Epstein.
Oh, Lord.
Why are you allowing little X to be around Donald Trump if he's, on the Epstein list?
Now, if you, for the audience, if you live under a rock and don't know what we're talking about, the bromance between Elon Musk and Donald Trump came to a tragic explosion where randomly Elon Musk started tweeting about Donald Trump and it escalated and escalated and escalated to the point where Elon then basically called Donald Trump a pedophile and said that he was going to be in the Epstein files, which of course the left went and ran with it. And it's like, I mean, come on, this guy is a White House advisor. You think that a White House advisor has any kind of information or has access to classified FBI documentation? Like, can we use the two brain cells that we have and rumble them together a little bit to make some friction to make sense of that?
Not just that, it's an active investigation as we speak with Kash Patel and what's his name? Dan Bongino.
Mm-hmm.
It's actively being investigated. You know how many pictures of that 80s or that late 80s, early 90s picture of Donald Trump and Epstein I saw on X?
That is crazy because it's almost as if they cherry pick everything that they do and watch, read, listen to, right? Because what happened just shortly after that, a few years after that, about right, I think it was like 95 or something like that, mid-90s, Donald Trump booted him out of all and banned him from all Trump resorts, including the fact that he lived at Mar-a-Lago for a minute, literally kicked him out. And then the one thing that they don't mention, Mike, is the fact that during the 2008 investigation of the one individual that accused Epstein of sexual assault and all this other stuff, guess who was the primary deposed?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump.
100%. Actually, Epstein's lawyer was the one that deposed him and actually made a statement, I think, early this week or late last week. He said, I asked Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has nothing to do with Epstein.
Nothing at all. And I think he actually reiterated that on a tweet himself, saying that there's nothing incriminating on it. He actually helped the police back in 2008, and it's wild. So,
well, this is Epstein's lawyer, and if his lawyer was trying to get Epstein, off, which is what any good lawyer would do, regardless if the party's guilty or innocent, they would try to use Donald Trump to their advantage, which didn't happen. He actually became an informant.
Right. But going back to the whole Elon Trump thing, now, my side of it initially, I look at things from a moving parts situation, and what I was seeing is the fact, like, first week, he cuts off the EV contract to Elon. He probably didn't like that, but he understood it, right? Then I believe it was like April, they got rid of the EV mandate that was going to be in the legislation and said, nope, that's not going nowhere. And then at the end of May, he's like, we're going to get rid of the EV tax reductions as well. Uh-oh. And then like a week later or so, you start seeing they went quiet, right? There was I even mentioned something to you, Mike. I was like, is quiet. And then all of a sudden you see Elon popping off. And I'm like, he's throwing a fit because he's not getting his way, right? Because I have been saying from the beginning, Elon Musk, I didn't trust him. He's always been a Democrat. He's always been that liberal. He literally is a self-proclaimed socialist, which, again, is an oxymoron because if you think of socialism and what it is in regards to spreading the wealth, kind of weird that the world's richest man is supposedly a socialist, but yet has more wealth than most. I think it's like the next 10 people, most rich people combined. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was quiet about it at first because I was like, okay, I like this Doge situation. I like what he's doing here. But I was like, I'm waiting for it. And then all of a sudden he starts popping off with that. I'm like, he's just throwing a fit. But over this last couple days, if you pay attention like I do, I've been seeing him retweet some pretty interesting things. From Donald Trump to J.D. Vance to other people in the Trump administration. And it's almost as if he's back on board with them, like in support, right? And then I start to think, my gears start to turn, because there was a conspiracy out there, right? Almost like a Q type thing, is that they were trying to manipulate the media and all these other people to be on board with the Epstein list coming out, because the left was pretty quiet about it for a while, right?
Now you got it. Now you have to push it out,
right? And the left is absolutely running with that tweet. He deleted the tweet, right? Saying that he was on the Epstein list. That was the first thing. I was like, oh, that's weird. Interesting. Then all the tweets of support were coming out, and the American flag started coming back, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Let's look at this logically. This is Donald Trump and Elon Musk, the absolute legends. They created the term troll, right? Like, if you don't know what a troll is, it's somebody that messes with you and will berate you in a way that makes you feel like with memes and all this other stuff on the internet. Like, nobody trolls better than Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
It's a gaslight king.
Like, there's no... But so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I got to remember that these are the world's biggest trolls. So I'm like, maybe there's some truth to this. I don't know. We're going to have to see it play out a little bit further, see what Elon does from this point, because I know there is no communication between them at all right now, supposedly.
Well, I was right about the election results, so I could be right about this.
Speaking of an election, actually, I'm going to do a sidebar real quick because I want to give a huge shout out to our friend, our great individual, just knowledgeable woman that we had on our podcast or on our show just last week, and Carol McCutcheon, because she was running for the mayor of Sugar Land, and we endorsed her because I loved her. I think she's perfect for the position. She actually won. Let's go. So huge congratulations to not only Sugarland, but Carol as well, because we know that you're going to do a phenomenal job. That's why we've endorsed you. I know the show endorsed you, the Radiodabang and Mike Kahn and all of them. So you have our backing, but Sugarland, you got a good one. So congrats to you, Carol, and we know you're going to do a phenomenal job.
100% congratulations.
But, I mean, it's a weird situation with Elon and Trump, right? Like, so we're just going to have to watch it play out. Because he tried to play it off as if it was the big, beautiful bill issue, right? Which, again, it's one of those domino things, right? At the beginning when it first came out, Elon was all on board for it and basically his only taboo with it, which was fine, was the fact that it didn't incorporate enough cuts, which was Thomas Massey and a couple other congressional members, what their issue with the bill is as well. Well, supposedly they're supposed to be doing something this week about Doge on a side thing, right? Outside of the reconciliation bill. But then it was, oh my God, the bill is going to cost $2.5 trillion to the debt. It's going to add that. And just saying the complete opposite of what he was saying just weeks prior. So we'll see that play out and see what's going on. I don't really know how to take it from this point because, again, these are the two biggest trolls out there. And it's going to be a weird situation to watch and see how everything plays out. But what's good is that one thing that we haven't talked about in a while is the fact that the 90 days, right? Everybody knows about this notorious 90-day pause on the tariffs, the whole situation. This is coming up. We only got, I think it's less than a month at this point because I believe it's like July 12th or something like that. So
July 14th.
July 14th. Okay, so I was close, yeah. But you got China out here, and you got all these other deals that we haven't really heard much about. So it'd be nice to really get a little bit more information from the Trump administration. So if they're listening, maybe you should drop a little bit more of that information out there because the jobs report came out for May. Phenomenal. Yep. We're up again, right? Unemployment stayed the same, which is a good thing.
What was it? April there was 40,000 added?
No, there was 140 something. And then this month, in May, it was 133. February, March was 173, which far exceeded the expectations on that month. And then February was like 150 or something like that. I did a video on it, so that's why I generally know the numbers. But inflation's coming down even further because that's actually the report for that. The inflation comes out tomorrow, Mike. I don't know if you know that. So nice. That'll be out tomorrow. And all intents and purposes, from what I'm reading from economists and all that, they're saying that it's going to be even lower. And just to put that in perspective, when Donald Trump took office, the CPI, or the inflation, right, was 3%. In February, it was 2.8. Yep. In March, it was March it was 2.4. April, it was 2.3. So we're going down. And they anticipate it to be even 2.3 or lower for the month of May.
Wow. My favorite thing about so far that has happened as far as economics go?
Yeah.
the requirement that people who receive government assistance, if you're able-bodied, you have to go back to work.
Right, and that's in that reconciliation bill, right?
I love that so much.
That's a good thing, because you got a lot of people out here that are crying and whining and making this to-do about how, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, all this stuff is being cut. It's like, no, it's not. Did you even read the bill? I mean, they're out here dogging Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying she didn't read the bill. It's like, come on. None of y'all gonna read a 1,116-page bill. That's why you have a staff.
Like, I don't like. Good on you. You're receiving some type of governmental assistance. You're receiving Social Security for a disability. If you have an able body, you need to go to work. I'm technically disabled, right? Disabled veteran. I have thoracic arthritis, multiple bulging discs, sciatica, and I go to work every day. So you got to go to work. Stop being lazy and go to the gym.
And there was another mantra that was being pushed out there, or propaganda, I should say, saying that if people have 8-year-olds or older, that they're gonna just lose it. And I'm like, did you guys even read it? They said no.
Oh yeah, the tax incentive.
What they're doing, like for food stamps, what they're doing is they're making sure, it's basically like unemployment. You have to register every week that you're looking for a job. That's all they're doing. Like, they're not taking it away from you. You just can't be lazy feeding off the system for the rest of your life.
I thought about doing that when I got out of the Army, but I got off my butt and got a job pretty quick. You have to provide evidence of applications that you submitted and like where you submitted, and there's no reason why you can't work.
Right, and also
especially in today, there's data entry jobs that you could do from home.
Right. And those entry-level jobs, like the people are just lazy and they don't want to, which means it moves me into the same situation. But also the fact that a lot of states are starting to move, which I wish they would do it federally, is to remove things like soda for my northern people, pop, and when it. I knew you'd say something. I come from Michigan, we call it pop, but I be getting used to the soda down here. But they're getting rid of candies and all this other stuff, right?
Oh, I saw that in Texas. You guys are labeling
Skittles, Doritos, and Mountain Dew specifically
as not for human consumption.
And they should be.
I like that.
But I know that there are other states, like I believe it's like Mississippi, and there was a handful of them that were moving to actually remove that from the possibility of being able to use the stamps or food stamps to purchase any of it, which I absolutely agree with. Because first of all, it's going to save American money, right? It's going to save the tax dollars, right? But it's also going to help you not be fat.
100%. Have you seen some of these recipients on food stamps? They ain't missing no meals.
Like, we're not out here body shaming or whatnot, because y'all know us. If you've watched our show, you know that we advocate for good health, right? We're huge in the fitness. Like, and you need to know what's going in your body. And if you're willfully putting things like Skittles and Mountain Dew and all this other stuff into your body on the back of our tax dollars, that ain't gonna fly.
No. So, you know what they should do, Nate? If you're on food assistance, SNAP benefits, you should get a free gym membership voucher.
Not like they'll use it, but I don't think that would be a problem. I'd be for that.
Yeah.
Because there might be some people out there that would use it. Like, I'm not saying everybody would, but Planet Fitness. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge advocate. I don't like Planet Fitness, but like $10, I'll give you $10 if you actually use it, right? Go walk on a treadmill for 10 minutes or something. But like I say, we're a huge advocate for, so when it comes to, when it comes to health, I'm a huge advocate. Everybody knows me and my stance when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry. If you've ever watched my show or the podcast, I can't stand them. I think they're vile individuals. I think they're poisoning Americans. I think they're poisoning the world, honestly, in a lot of different ways. But RFK made one of the most monumental moves this week that I think is absolutely OG type stuff. He went and fired all 17 of the the CDC's advisory committee on immunization practices, because of what the recommendation and the practices are absolutely outside of your mind. They make no sense.
100%. And before that, what did he do? He got rid of the mandate for the COVID vaccine for children.
For children and healthy pregnant women. Yeah, which only makes sense. Like, why would you be taking any vaccine if you're healthy? Like,
100%.
You have natural immunities, guys. Your body is built to fight things.
Mm-hmm. As long as you're feeding it the correct things.
Right. True.
And you know what bothers me the most is this, since we're on the subject of health and fitness, this narrative of food deserts. I live in a food desert. Access to healthy food. You got access to beans and tuna.
Beans and tuna.
Like, you ain't struggle busting that bad.
Trust me.
Boy.
Trust me. I could come into your house, and I'd be willing to do this. Mike is an actual trainer, so I know he will. One day I will actually get my license for training as well. And we are offering anybody on this channel that's watching us on Radiodabang or even the Legislative Lounge podcast, if you need help with any kind of meal prepping or just some kind of understanding of what's better for you, like things that you think that are good for you, I can promise you they're not, and I'll show you why. Mike will show you why. So we're offering that to you guys because we love you. We want you guys to live healthier, happier lives, longer lives.
And me working in the healthcare industry, I see the repercussions of bad decisions when it comes to what you ingest.
Right.
And I'm not the end all be all as far as knowledge goes. Whenever I don't know something, I ask Nate or his amazing wife, Mimi. She is incredibly smart when it comes to holistic methods of maintaining health and fitness.
It's stupid. How much she knows.
It's not fair.
She did not go to school for it. She just loves it so much she's read basically everything.
I don't know how you fit all that knowledge in that teeny tiny person. If anybody doesn't know, his wife is like 4'10".
Yeah, she's a little thing. But I love her.
But she's mighty.
But yeah, I mean, it's.
But contact us. Contact us on Instagram. Contact us on TikTok, Facebook. Contact the Legislative Lounge Instagram page. We'll help you. We'll do what we can to spread you good information on what avenues you could take, because everybody's different, and
right, and everybody's body reacts differently to things. Like, I've tried some natural things that just didn't work out for me. So we got to figure out what it is for you, and we're willing to help you guys because we love you that much. So
100%.
At this point, it's like we're just basically. It's almost like I said the other week. Besides the whole Elon Musk and the LA thing, which, like I say, is like an annual thing there. We're kind of like in a holding pattern, legislation-wise and foreign policy-wise, trade and things like that, because we're waiting for information to be dropped.
Yep.
Because there really hasn't been like any big pieces of legislation, because they're all like hyper-focused on the reconciliation bill.
Yep, the big beautiful bill is up at the Senate, and it's probably getting some amendments done to it.
For sure.
People are still arguing about tariffs, even though they don't know what they are. People are still arguing about, they're spreading misinformation regarding BLS reports, even though they don't know how to read.
I mean, they're supposed to be working on Doge codification this week. Like, that's what Anna Paulina Luna from here in Texas was saying. So, and she said that came
Florida.
from Mike. Oh, is she from Florida?
Yeah, Anna Paulina Luna's from Florida.
I think we got somebody with a similar name here in Texas. That's why I was confused.
You got the girl you got from Texas is Jasmine Crockett.
No, that's Dallas. That ain't Texas. But
you better own it.
No, we got enough problems down here in Houston with Al Green's goofy self.
Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallegos, you got a Jasmine Crockett.
I got Jasmine Crockett and Al Green. I'll one up you with a rhino with Dan Crenshaw, Mike. We got you beat over here.
Yeah, you got me beat with One Eye Willie.
But yeah, so like as that information drops, guys, we'll definitely be giving you guys more details on what's going on. me and Mike have been, I don't know about Mike specifically, but I've been sifting through that reconciliation bill. It does include no tax on tip. It does include no tax on overtime. And there's a wealth of information in regards to the tax code itself that is going to help the middle class, regardless of what the Democrats say. There's a literal chart in there.
With that, I think there is some confusion regarding the tax on tips and tax on overtime piece. I think when people saw it, they expected immediately that their tips and their overtime were not going to be taxed on their paycheck.
That's not how it works, people.
The way that they're going about this is you're annotating it on your taxes at the end of the tax year.
Right.
This reduces fraud. This reduces waste, and this allows for you more bang for your buck at the end.
Right. Like, if anybody thought that it was going to be an immediate thing, like you'd see it in your paycheck you really don't pay attention to nothing. Because I can't say this enough, I'm sorry, but I tell people all the time, you guys need to educate yourself on how things work, especially when it comes to our government, tax, all that stuff, because it is astounding to me to see how many people just really don't know. It's like, what is our school system doing?
Nothing right, which is why the DOE is going bye-bye.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Linda McMahon's in charge of it. But the DOE made horrible decisions for our youth by incentivizing detrimental policies for funding. Mm-hmm. No child left behind. Terrible. Some kids need to be held back because they're just not grasping the program.
It. Right. But at the same time,
they need a little bit more remedial training.
Well, there's also this aspect of it, and I didn't really even understand. I didn't know that we were going to talk about education, but this is a good time because, in all reality, my wife has a huge problem with this as well. We're homeschool parents, right? So we can literally dictate what curriculum works best. And my oldest is a perfect example of what's wrong with the school system, right? Is the fact that we were using a particular curriculum that she, that she really wasn't jiving with. It wasn't clicking in her head the way it should be. But my daughter's very smart in math and things like that, but the reading portion of it was just off. Like, she couldn't grasp what it was teaching her. So the teacher that we're working with, that's a homeschool teacher, she's like, hey, let's change the curriculum and use this. And now my daughter's doing great in math when it comes to writing and reading, all that. She's doing much better. Now, maybe down the road we might have to change it again, but see, they don't do that in school systems. So you have a number of children that are being hindered in their education because the school systems are unwilling to change what they're doing to help the children, because not everybody learns the same.
100%. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your kids' school days are not 8 hours.
No, maybe 3, 4.
Yeah. So you're forced children to go through an industrial, systematic process of learning, forcing them to sit in seats for 8 to 9 hours a day. They're not retaining good information, and they're learning BS. If I'm honest about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many times. Thank God they reinstituted the fact that they're going to be teaching children cursive and whatnot. Because I have a cousin that's I think he's 23 now. But a few years ago, when he was 18, he was a senior in high school. We went to the gym, and he needed to sign in as a guest of mine. And he's like, I don't know how to sign my name. I'm like, what? He's like, I don't know cursive, so I don't know how to sign my name. I was like, what are they teaching you? It's like, they didn't teach me cursive. I'm like, what? How can you read the Constitution?
I got it on my phone, Nate. I could just read it in print.
But how do you know it's right? That's the thing, is you got so many kids you got possible brain surgeons and whatnot out here that are being passed over because they feel like they're worthless in the sense that they can't learn the same way as another child because the school is unwilling to change the way that they approach teaching.
Well, 100%. So I do a lot of report writing in my job, and it's amazing because I'm a field training officer, so I train not just other officers, but I also train other staff members. It's amazing how many people do not know how to form a sentence.
Grammar is a bad thing. Don't even get me started on social media. Like, I know it's social media, but like, people really don't understand how to change anything when it comes to word composition or structure. It's amazing to me that people can even communicate sometimes, honestly.
Well, if they use speak to text, thankfully, I'm not reading. Listening to Nate do speak to text can sometimes be kind of crazy.
Man, Lord have mercy. Don't get me started on Siri. That girl is more illiterate than most humans. But anyways, we thank you guys for joining us every week here. Maybe we'll have a whole episode where we can invite somebody in to talk about education, because that's a huge thing on my heart. So maybe we'll have somebody in to have a conversation about that. But thank you guys for joining us, and come back next week at 7 p.m. Mike, go ahead and take us home.
Yep. Be sure to join us next week, Monday at 6 p.m. Central Time, Legislative Lounge on YouTube, and Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time on Radiodabang. Thank you, Mike Kahn. We're forever grateful for you hosting us. And be sure to follow the Legislative Lounge, Professor Mike, as well as Nate Big on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. We love you. Thank you for joining into America's Greatest Podcast. Stay blessed.